Welcome into the Bassmaster studio, and 1 week after the Bassmaster Classic, there's no better person that we need to talk to than the Classic champion, Hank Cherry. And Hank, wanted to welcome you in and congratulate you first off on the Classic victory. It's an accomplishment of a lifetime. Walk me through that winning moment when you got to idle through or you got to pull through for the Super 6. It had to be an incredible moment knowing that you had a good bag in your live well.
It's such a blur that I've had to sit back and think about this a couple times, and the pieces that I've missed, people have filled in for me, but it was just a huge gathering of emotions of years and years of work that collided at one time and made this huge ball of light. That's the best way I can explain it.
That's obviously something that a lot of anglers, anyone who's ever picked up a rod and reel and made a cast would love to experience, is that moment of winning the Bassmaster Classic. So now that we've established that you're the champion, let's go back in the week. Obviously, that final day of practice on Sunday, you caught a 9-pounder and you probably felt confident in other game plans. But there was a moment where you had to go and make sure all your equipment was good to go. And when you did that, that meant going back to the Browns Creek region where the takeoff was, checking with the service crew and everything. Walk me through that moment from getting your equipment tip-top shape to going out and testing it and what you found from there.
Well, I had a little glitch with my trolling motor. It's the first year with the Garmin trolling motor, but that thing is awesome. And I basically had lost power for some reason, didn't know why. So we ran back to the service yard, put it on the trailer, ran up. The guys looked at it, and it was a little wire or something. And when we put the boat back in, I told my marshal, I said, look, I'm just going to go down these rocks to see if I can catch one. And we're going to make sure this trolling motor is working right. And about the fifth cast, I caught a 5-pounder, and my eyes got bright, and I looked around, and there was nobody in the tournament in sight. So I immediately started coming up with a plan B, graphed around a little bit, saw a bunch of shad, saw a bunch of fish, and kind of relied on history for plan B, which was sometimes it works, sometimes that doesn't work. But with the weather conditions and the wind the first day, I thought it was really my best chance of making a good run at the Classic.
So at what point did you decide to go from plan A to plan B? Because when I was there at the day one takeoff and I saw the wind that was coming in, beating into the Browns Creek region from that northwest direction at, that 15 to 20 mile an hour wind, at what point was it driving to the ramp that morning? Was it after you had already launched and you were docking up and you saw what it was doing that you decided, hey, I'm probably going to go straight out? Because I looked at the running gallery that Steve Bowman did, and everyone's going kind of this direction. And in your photo, it looked like you're going this direction, that you had already decided and you were good to go there. So at what point did you make that decision for plan B was going to be your deal for day one?
I made that decision as soon as I woke up. The wind was howling. Even though we're an hour or something away, I had to make a decision because I didn't want to show up and be thinking about it. I actually ran to the windiest side of the bridge first just to see if I could fish it. I needed to see how bad the eelgrass had blown in. I knew there would be no eelgrass on the other side because that part of Browns Creek just doesn't have as much. And I told myself we were coming down the road that actually parallels Browns Creek coming to the landing. And I just looked out across there and I said, that's where it's going to happen. If it's going to happen, today's got to be the day. We got to make it work.
Catching 29 pounds is incredible in any event. As like you said it, I heard in other interviews, that was your biggest bag of fish in a tournament or almost period. And to catch it on day one of the Classic, that had to be an amazing feeling. Just that hour and a half drive back to Birmingham to weigh in, knowing that, hey, 1/3 of your tournament is done and you did it about as good as you could possibly do a day of a tournament.
I did. I was super excited. I've never caught that big a bag of fish. I've caught 26, 27 pounds, but to catch 29 the first day of the Classic, the 50th Classic, and to be able to come to that arena with my fans there and sponsors and just make them proud, it was a real good feeling.
So if you're just joining us, we're here with Hank Cherry, the 2020 Bassmaster Classic champion. And Hank, we got to see you mix up a lot of different baits. That's kind of the way Guntersville was this week. There was very few anglers that could just throw one bait the entire tournament. We saw you progress from catching them on a bladed jig and your own signature series flipping jig, and then a jerk bait. Obviously, if we see Hank Cherry rising up the leaderboard on Bass Track, we're like, we can probably guess what it's going to be on, especially when you get above 20 pounds. So what makes Hank Cherry such a great jerkbait fisherman? That was kind of, it progressed, but a jerkbait is your go-to, it seems, on any confidence time when you need to get a bite. Why are you so good at a jerkbait, and when did that start factoring for you, maybe at home in local tournaments? You know, when did you start picking it up and trusting it as much as you do?
You know, I think it's just something from just years of fishing. Everybody has a confidence or a go-to bait. I think in the past I might have gone to it too much, but I've found times now where I can really buckle down and put that thing in my hand. But I feel like if the fish are feeding on it, I really, really up my opportunity of catching them if I've got that bait in my hand. I like to catch them with a swim bait too, but catching that fish that's not really on anything, it's just kind of in the middle of nowhere suspended, is kind of difficult. But I've spent so much time fine-tuning, playing with baits, knowing how to make the cast. Not so much my cadence, because my cadence changes all the time. I'm not a huge cadence guy. But what's made it easier these past couple years has been that Garmin Live Scope. I've really been able to
big ball of shadow,
dial it in and actually see what my bait's doing, how the fish react to it, how much bait am I around, what structure am I actually throwing it at. There's no more guessing with that stuff.
Well, there's a couple key things. Obviously, hey, if Babe Ruth is wrecking home runs, I want to know what his stance is, maybe his grip on the bat. For you, a lot of fans want to know what your jerkbait setup is, what rod and reel, if it matters to you, pound, test, line. Obviously, that varies, different things. And also the hook selection for your jerkbait, because it was very interesting to hear you talk about that back hook and how it would weight the jerkbait and how it affects that action. So kind of talk to us about what that, your jerkbait rod that you're gonna put in your hand, and then the little adjustments that you might make to get the desired action you want.
Well, the jerkbait rod I was using was a 610 medium light veracity. It's a new rod this year. It's actually a second run. It's a second edition, second model, whatever you want to say, but it's a very, very good improved edition. I pair that with 15-pound, 100% trilene fluorocarbon, a Revo XTX 7.3-1. And the hooks were really specific, but I love these hooks, and Berkeley did a great job of making them. It's the Fusion 19 EWG medium shank, and they made them in the in-between size 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I chose to go with the 5s because it's a pretty stout hook. It's kind of a heavy hook, and in my mind, I could apply them to the bait and get that bait to do what I want it to do. And when I hooked them, I thought my chances were very, very good at getting them to the boat. And I don't have to worry about straightening out that hook with that heavier line.
That seems to be the tale of bass fishing. You're going to catch most fish, you're going to lose some fish. It's hard to get a 100% bait. And it makes me think, I know that you've thought about it, you said it, you've thought about it for the last 7 or 8 years. That 2013 Classic, we talked about it backstage and whatnot. You winning by an ounce at the 2012 Open at Smith to even make the elites in the Classic, and then being in the opportunity to win that Classic and coming up short has made you who you are, and now it's prepared you for that 2020 Classic going into the final day leading. Is there any kind of relief for you now that you've done it? You've accomplished the goal, checked the box. I've won the Bassmaster Classic. Obviously, you can never win enough Bassmaster Classics. You would win the rest of them of all time if you could. Does it make that 2013 a little bit better, knowing that you trusted yourself, you caught them on a bait that you love, and that you sealed the deal doing it your way?
It does. If I would have had to catch them on a rod and a shaky head, I would have done that too to get the same results if I could have. But to be able to catch them my way and win that tournament doing things, it's just something special. I mean, you dream of that moment, you dream of that opportunity. It came true. The trophy's in my living room, and it's something nobody can ever take from me.
You've talked about it in some interviews, but also your Bassmaster column up on the website about those tough times. You mentioned it a couple different times, on the stage at the Classic, where you're like, there was a time that you didn't think that you'd be able to do this. Walk me through that progression, because there's probably every single angler's dealt with that, whether it's making that leap from the local level to a regional level or from regional to national. Everybody has that time where you're unsure what's next and if you're going to be able to do it. What was it for Hank Cherry that maybe put a little question mark in your life, but then you pushed through it and got to where you are now?
Well, there was tough times, loss of job, just a little bit of friction inside the family, just things that when tough times come, these things seem to happen. And I always knew that I was meant to do this, but for so long, I think I tried to do it my time and tried to make things happen. And sometimes when you try to make things happen, you get kind of scared. You go down the wrong road. You take the wrong path. And there was a time when we just had to step back. When the realization comes to your mind that you may not ever fish again, something you're so passionate about, it hits hard. It didn't just affect me, it affected Jacqueline. But we fought through all the problems. We fought through all the hardships. I managed my way back. I listened to that little voice that's in your head that sometimes will just follow me and you go the right direction. And that's the path I've been trying to take. That's the path we're on. It doesn't stop now. I've said it a bunch of times. Everybody asks, how, why, when. I kind of tell them there's a country song, and there's a line in it that says, I'm not as good as I'm going to get, but I'm better than I used to be. And I think as long as I keep that mind set, the sky's the limit from here out.
I got one more thing before we move on to what you're doing right now. And wrapping up the Classic, was that moment when you got the trophy, the confetti's falling, you shake Chase Anderson's hand, and you turn around and Christian, your young son, runs and jumps into your arms, and then your daughter Bella Grace runs and jumps in your arms. That's gotta be up there, as one of the best moments of the Classic. Within the Classic moment, that's gotta be one of the best moments, having your kids and your wife rush the stage to welcome you after winning.
By far, there is no words can describe the feeling that I was having at that time. No words. If I tried to do words, it would do it injustice. It's just that. I mean, amazing doesn't even begin to fulfill the range of emotions.
Well, obviously, you've got a lot of family time now with what you're doing right now. We've postponed the Chickamauga event because of all of the virus concerns and whatnot. But after the Bassmaster Classic, running and wearing yourself out and being as tired as you can be, all the interviews, all the stuff, you've gotten a bug as well, and you're overcoming that right now. Walk me through what Hank Cherry's doing as he tried to do all the interviews from the Classic, get ready for Chickamauga, getting sick, at Bass Cat Owners Tournament. There's so many things that you were pulled to do right after winning the biggest tournament in bass fishing.
Well, yeah, I got sick. I didn't get to go to the Bass Cat Owners Tournament, which I really was looking forward to. But the interviews, the phone calls, the messages, the emails have been enormous. And I'm trying my best to get back. I contact everybody that gave me congratulations. I'm trying just to stay composed. We have some help. Jacqueline's doing all she can. And right now I'm enjoying this time at home. Maybe getting sick was kind of a godsend. Maybe the canceled tournament was kind of a godsend, but it's going to give me a chance to really regroup, recoup, and refocus for the rest of the season.
So, Hank, with that being said, we plan on trying to do the rest of the Elite Series season, obviously. What is maybe one location for the rest of the year? Chickamauga, Eufaula, Santee Cooper. That's just for the Southeast swing that we're wrapping up. And then you've got Texas and then up north. What kind of venue are you looking forward to? Because you want to win Angler of the Year. That's what every angler wants to do. You want to win Elite Series events. But it's got to feel good that, hey, even if you finish last in points, you made it to the Classic next year. So a little bit of pressure's off. other than the pressure that you put on yourself. So what venue are you looking at for the rest of the 2020 season that you're excited about and maybe have a chance to win?
Yeah, I'm excited about them all because we're going such great places. But if there's one place that's been a thorn in my side that I love so much, it's the St. Lawrence River. It seems like I've just never quite been able to put the whole puzzle together. I think the one time that I had it together, we had a little bit of ruling issues or whatever it was with the fish having to be hooked inside the mouth. We've had some clarity since then. But for as much as I love that place, I really, really would like to win that tournament.
Well, we obviously, you're going to be high on a lot of people's radars now. It was shocking to me to see Hank Cherry being one of the lowest fantasy picks for the Classic, knowing how well a jerkbait plays and other factors and your history at Guntersville being there so many times. But the 1% of the people who picked Hank Cherry were very happy with how it turned out with you winning. And kudos to you. 65.7 was your pre-tournament weight prediction for the winner, and you were 2 ounces off of that, and at 65.5. Fantastic event. Hey, Hank, thank you for joining us. We look forward to the rest of the 2020 Elite Series season and for you to carry that flag as the Bassmaster Classic champion, not only this year, but for the rest of your life, because that is a title that we will introduce you with forever.
Hey, I'm looking forward to it. I hope I can do my best to represent bass, to represent the sport of bass fishing, and just be influential to the upcoming generation that wants to do this. Let them know that I'm proof nothing's impossible.
Well, there he is, Hank Cherry, our 2020 Bassmaster Classic champion, the 50th edition. Hey, you can only win, if you could only win one Classic, a 50th anniversary one is one that you want to take home. So thank you to Hank Cherry for joining us today. Hope all you at home watching along are feeling better and enjoying that. We can't wait to get back out on the water soon with our Bassmaster Elite Series coverage.